Shalom, friends and family. This is Eros Hassan, and today we're going to talk about the Battle of David against Goliath, part two. This time we're going to concentrate with the tribes of Israel. I think to do so, to give you the line of their settling here in the land from the beginning until the battle, we'll have to look through maps for your better understanding. So let's do that right now. In this map, the tribes settling in the land just as the Lord promised, we could see that most of the tribes, 10 tribes, settled up north, some at the eastern part of the Jordan River. Up north, the land is more fertile, more water, part of the Fertile Crescent to the south. Down south, we have two main tribes, Judah and Benjamin. Simeon became a part of Judah early in time. In the book of Joshua, as well as in Judges, we read about the different battles that the tribes fought against the nations here in the land. The cities and kingdoms along the main trade route were the powerful ones. They settled in good areas of influence, of income, and the tribes living nearby would engage in battle mostly around here in this good area. But later on in 1 Samuel, we read about Samuel living around this area of Ramah, close to Shiloh, on the mountains of Samaria, and then roaming to Michmesh, Gilgal, and other areas around the territory of Benjamin and Samaria, a bit of Judea, fighting against the Philistines that were here along the shoreline, against Moab and other nations to the east. So most of the story would take place around here and less so to the north. So folks, where are we exactly? Well, we're at the northwestern slopes of the Judean mountains. Just below us, the Ajalon Valley, and behind us on the mount, on the hill, used to exist 4 Gentile cities called Beerot, Kfira, Gibeon, and Kiryat Yearim. So the tribes of Israel wanted to be like the Gentiles inside the land. They wanted a king. I mean, the Lord reigning over them was not enough. So they cried out to Samuel saying, your children in Beersheba, they're corrupted. We don't want this way of reign anymore. We want a king. In 1 Samuel 8, verse 6, it says, give us a king to judge us. And a verse after that, it says, and the Lord said to Samuel, heed the voice of the people in all that they say to you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. For the Lord is not enough. They wanted a king just like the Gentiles around. The same said in 1 Samuel 10, verse 19. But in 1 Samuel 8, verse 22, it says, so the Lord said to Samuel, heed their voice and make them a king. So this is the beginning of the reign of kings in the land of Israel. Kings for the tribes of Israel. So the Lord gave the tribes of Israel exactly what they wanted. They wanted a king. He chose them the best one that they thought they deserved. A tall man, a pretty man, just like the Gentiles. His name was Saul. And he was a big promise to them. He wasn't the choice of God, but the choice of the people of Israel. But as we continue in 1 Samuel, we see that the situation deteriorates with this chosen king, with this Saul. In 1 Samuel 13, it says that the son of Saul, Jonathan, attacked the garrison of the Philistines. Now, it's true, the Philistines, their territory was down below in the valley, beyond the hills, by the shoreline, as we shown you. But they were tough, and they took territories around here, territories of the Benjamin tribe, went deeper inside the land.
And Jonathan attacked them. Jonathan was a man of war. And when the tribes heard what has happened, fear came upon them. They started hiding. They went even beyond the Jordan Valley at the eastern border of Israel. That shows you how much faith they had in God. Yeah? They feared for themselves, not thinking, not knowing that the Lord will protect them. Continuing the chapter, 1 Samuel 13, it talks about Samuel talking to Saul, telling him to wait in Gilgal for me. And after the 7 days, we see that Saul is lost his patience, and he gives a burnt offering to God. Him, and not Samuel, not the priest. And then in verse 13 to 14, it says, And Samuel said to Saul, You have done foolishly, and you have not kept the commandments of the Lord your God, which he commanded you. For now the Lord will have established your kingdom over Israel forever. But now your kingdom shall not continue. The Lord hath thought for himself a man after his own heart, and the Lord has commanded him to be commander over his people, because you have not kept what the Lord commanded you. So we see already there how the heart of Samuel changes towards Saul because of the sin. But the sins do not stop there. They continue on and on throughout the other chapters. In 1 Samuel 14, it talks about Saul talking to the people of Israel, saying, We will attack the Philistines and we will push them back from the area of Benjamin, from the Judean mountains, below, back to their territories. And he tells the people, Do not eat anything today. We're fasting until we have our revenge upon these people. But Jonathan did not hear it. Jonathan attacked the garrison. And as he was around this area, he ate some honey, some wild honey. That was a sin. Later on, Saul said, We have to deal with Jonathan, but the people foolishly said, Leave him. He brought us victory. And he went against the oath of his father and the people of Israel. In 1 Samuel 14, verse 31 to 32, it says, Now they had driven back the Philistines that day from Michmesh to the Ajalon, where we are over here. So the people were very faint, and the people rushed on the spoil, and took sheep, oxen, and calves, and slaughtered them all around here. And the people ate them with blood. Now, not only that they're going against their oath, not only that people not from the tribes of the Levites are giving offerings, now they're going against the commandments of God. In Judaism, we believe, as it's written in Scripture, that the blood holds the soul. It's given to us in so many verses, forbidding us to eat from the blood. Leviticus 3, verse 17, Leviticus 7, verse 26 to 27, Leviticus 17, verse 10 to 12, Deuteronomy 12, verse 22 to 23. You shall not eat blood. But it happened all around here. And then we have more and more sins of the tribes of Israel. In 1 Samuel 15, verse 10, it says, Now the word of the Lord came to Samuel, saying, I greatly regret that I have set up Saul as king, for he has turned back from following me, and has not performed my commandments. So Samuel went to Saul and told him the words of the Lord. In 1 Samuel 15, verse 27 to 29, it says, And as Samuel turned around to go away, Saul seized the edge of his robe and torn. Kind of reminds you what happened in En-Gedi, right? With David and Saul cutting the edge of his garment. So Samuel said to him, The Lord has torn the kingdom of Israel from you today, and has given it to a neighbor of yours. who is better than you. And also the strength of Israel will not lie nor relent, for he is not a man that should relent. From the region of Benjamin, the prophet Samuel made his way to the region of Judah, to a small town called Bethlehem, to look for the chosen one of God. Let's make our way there.
So, friends, we are around this area over here, having a view toward the west, toward the Shephelah, Ajalon Valley beyond it, the Shephelah, all the way to the Philistines area. And now we're gonna start filming from the northern point of Bethlehem, southern point of Jerusalem. Later on, David from Bethlehem made his way down the Judean mountain to the valley of Elah. That was somewhere around here where the battle took place.
So now we're at the southern point of Jerusalem, looking over the northern point of Bethlehem. You could see the hill coming down with all the olive trees. Behind it, that's Bethlehem today, that is divided into three areas: Bethlehem, Bet Jala, and Bet Sahur. And as we go down the slope, that's what you guys know as Shepherd's Field. Behind that, you could see the tall mountain that is kind of cut on top. That's the Herodian fortress, one of the fortresses that Herod the Great built for his own protection. And that's where we found his tomb. That's where Herod the Great is buried. But that's not our story here today, right? In 1 Samuel 16, verse 1, it says, "Now the Lord said to Samuel, how long will you mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I am sending you to Jesse, the Bethlehemite, for I have provided myself a king among his sons." So, from Benjamin to Judea, Samuel made his way here. And in verse 7, it says, "Do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as a man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." So if the people look for someone tall, someone pretty, a strong man, that's not what the Lord was looking for. He's looking for the heart. And the man that would be chosen, the youngest out of the 8 sons of Jesse, would be found there. Now, David, he had a lot going on for him. I mean, he was a shepherd. A shepherd was a leader. He had to take the flock away from home, protect it, show him the way, feed it. That's a lot of responsibility. And that's the work of a leader. By the way, he would take the sheep and goats along the mountains throughout the day, and in the evening they would return back home, where they would be protected inside the home, especially in the winter time. For the sheep and goat inside the home will not only be protected, but they would use the body heat of the sheep and goat to heat the house. Only around the spring, summertime, around the time of Passover, I'm talking today about April, until the summertime, August, September, would the shepherds take the sheep outside. First of all, it's very, very hot, but also that's mating season. And the shepherds had to protect the sheep and goat outside, but also make sure to push them away one from the other. And they would stay outside during the night, and they would stay inside caves. Think about that when you're thinking, when was Yeshua born, right? So David was a shepherd, was a leader, from a young age, but also he was a musician. And it's believed that in ancient times, especially, the musicians could connect with God as they played the touch of the Lord within them. At the end of 1 Samuel 16, it talks about David becoming the armor bearer of Saul, and he stayed in his home and he played for him. At that time, Saul became a bit weird, right? It was filled with bad spirits. And David playing for him, the touch of God upon his fingers calmed Saul down. But that was going on for David as well. So Samuel went there to the house of Jesse. He could not tell the people that he's looking for a new king, because then Saul would be angry. So he made up a story of offerings. So people came from Bethlehem to give offerings to the Lord, and over there he came and met the house of Jesse and eventually anointed David to be king for later on. In 1 Samuel 16, verse 13, it says, Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. Now the Israelites were gathering in the valley down below toward the west, the valley of Elah, to fight against the Philistines. And Jesse, the father of David, told him, Wake up early and gather food for your brothers. Gather food for your brothers, and the people of Israel walk down and see what's going on there and return back with the news. And that's exactly what David did. From Bethlehem, Ephrata, over there, he made his way toward the west down the valley